Moving on to Dr. Stone, we'll start with chapter 171. We're covering 171 and 172 here, but we'll start with 171. And we start off with Senku showing Zeno the record.
Yeah, Byakuya's record.
Yes. And then he just hears all that, and Zeno starts to reminisce about all the astronauts.
Yeah, because he knew all of them, and he's like, oh, so all the astronauts are long gone, even though the Petra beam missed them.
Mm-hmm.
They're all dead just because natural causes, and it's like, you should read the side story.
It's kind of funny because I think literally every one of them was pneumonia, except for maybe the Russians, which may have died at sea. I can't remember how that went.
Byakuya didn't die of ammonia.
Yeah, he did. He said he caught it when he was an old
but
man.
he was just old as hell, though. He mostly died of old age.
I guess
and then, of course, there's spoilers that happened.
Yes.
So read the side story. It's freaking good. It's amazing, actually.
It's really fun. I would never thought. I mean, not really never thought, but like just a random side story coming out of the series. It's just a random point.
By the way, minor tangent. We'll go back almost immediately. But you ever notice how much Byakuya kind of looks like Polly?
You know, I have. And I've never thought to bring it up thought to bring it up in these. And it's like,
yeah, he's like a dead ringer for Polly, and it's amazing, except for there's not enough cigars.
Yeah. You know, it always makes me appreciate Boichi art, though.
It's his art's amazing.
Boichi himself doing all this weekly Shonen Jump series, and it's like, I love him. I love this man doing this. I like his style with all these characters. But
oh yeah, like speaking of which, like the thing he draws about Senku, like where he's just like kind of reminiscing about his dad whenever Zeno starts talking about him. He's basically like the man was a walking paradox, but he did it with a smile.
Yeah.
Because he would do things out of like superstition and faith, and then he'd also do like the most reliable thing. And the living embodiment of that is the fact that he made 100 stories to teach life lessons. And then he also thought, oh, I'll pass down an actual record of voice. That way people can actually hear exactly what we had to say instead of a giant game of telephone.
Yeah, because that would be, at this point in the story, that telephone game would be horrible.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like, you make dirt out of what? But yeah, so Chrome is,
it's skipping forward a little bit, but it's first what happens is they while they're playing the record, it kind of focuses on the part where he's like,
I missed a note there.
Yeah, he's like, we know we didn't get to see very much, but we know it came from South America, and we're just gonna leave it to you scientists. And that's when Senku's like, we need to be really grateful with that for that tiny nugget of info, because between the both of us, we can turn that into the actual truth that happened.
Yeah.
And they both basically act like world dominating supervillains for like half a second.
I love it. You know, this one thing is like, I love their dynamic. Like, I love Senku and Chrome a lot. Or, I don't know, Chrome. I think it's Chrome, and I'm just thinking of Fire Emblem.
Google Chrome.
But I love Senku and Chrome. You know, they're great pals. But it is neat seeing somebody like directly on Senku's level doing all this with them. It's so interesting. I
wouldn't even say on Senku's level. I still think Senku might not be better than him.
You think? I mean, I could see it.
Zeno has a lot more years of study than him. It's like Senku's smart. He's outrageously smart.
But he's only
Zeno's just as intelligent as him. Yeah. Zeno's just as intelligent as him, and he's older.
I was going to say, how old is Zeno? I can't remember. Isn't he like 30-something?
They said he was accomplished in his like 20s whenever he was at NASA.
Oh, okay. So he might be.
But that was when Senku started mailing him. So it's like
Oh, because Senku
maybe
started mounting him at like probably like 8.
late to mid 20s, probably.
Hmm.
Because he was considered like a super genius, just like Senku.
Yeah.
And then basically it cuts back to the cover page. It's like the two girls are like, "Why are we just drinking tea?" Which is hilarious. So they're like, "Oh, we just shouldn't interrupt them because after thousands of years, those two are gonna team up and solve this." And then like, but Chrome can't really help himself. He's like, he sees Francois go heading that way with like tea and snacks, and is like takes it for any excuse to like run in there and eavesdrop. Because he's like, he can't stand it anymore. He's like, I can't wait to see how they're planning on solving this. And he's got like this complex like math equations in his head and stuff while they're standing there. Then he opens the door and they're fucking blowing bubbles and dancing. And it's like, what the hell?
I love that panel. That was a great panel.
That and this other one that happens is freaking great.
I was just thinking.
Where Chrome's like, oh, giant bubbles. I want to have that much fun. And then he's like, they're like, wait, we're not having fun here. We're trying to make an exact working model.
Which I still don't understand how they're making models out of bubbles. Do you know how that works?
Okay. Yeah, I know what they're doing.
Okay.
Okay, so they know how the orb traveled across the surface of the Earth, and they can literally do that with a bubble.
How are they controlling
the bubble? Because
it's
spread evenly across in a semicircle. They're blowing it out of it, and they're trying to get the perfect sizings.
Oh, okay.
Which is why they need those big bubbles to go over the globe.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, but that's the whole reason they're doing it. And it was also just a way so that they could talk about like adding glycerin to bubbles. And most people know this because like you do this in 3rd grade. But yeah, you add glycerin to bubbles, you can make them even bigger. You use like what is it? Water, laundry detergent, and glycerin. You get crazy big bubbles. You never do that in school?
I never did. I don't think so. Of course.
You can get glycerin like. It says here on like at the pharmacy. You don't even have to go to a pharmacy unless you're like in New York, maybe. You can go to like any large chain retailer. They have it.
Okay.
I'll go to the over-the-counter section. They have it. You can make giant bubbles. They're fun.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I don't remember ever doing that in 3rd grade. Of course, that was a long time ago, so my memory might just be shot. But I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, that's when Chrome realizes that. Chrome realizes that Zeno's not tied up.
Weird. Okay.
No, you're good.
But yeah,
he realizes he's not tied up, and he's like, "Oh, he's not gonna get away until he solves that." Like Zeno wants to solve that, so he wouldn't do a single thing about it. And that's whenever he takes one of the sticks that they're kind of dipping in, and he blows a bubble over their globe. And he's like, "Okay," he says, "For argument's sake, let's start in Brazil," which that makes sense. It's the largest country in South America. So it's like either it's there or you eliminate Brazil and you eliminate like a third of South America.
Yeah. So that's a good place to start with that. And then let's see.
Then they just he blows a bubble and sticks it to it. And he's like, and then they start talking about the planetary scale for like, because we already know there was like 1,000 was it 12,800 kilometers 1 second is what it kept saying.
Let me check for us. I said 171 here.
But yeah, it was.
I didn't get the calculations down. Let me see. You can go on ahead. I'm looking.
No, you're good. But they start talking about like, they're talking about, so we're talking about planetary scale, so that it would envelop the Earth.
12,800. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check. I didn't write down all the numbers in my notes, so I figured we might as well check on those.
And then Senku just starts off. Senku starts talking about like, is the model really necessary? Did this like zap your brain, like the thousands of years of the stone? And he's like, no, it's needed to make science truly elegant. And then he's like, Crumb's basically like, oh, so this is the difference between Senku and Zeno. one's all about the presentation of the science, and one's all about just like being a freaking gremlin, to be honest.
It's all about presentation. God, I love Megamind. Oh man. But yeah.
Yeah, and then they talk about like if it actually can pass through the Earth, then it would have hit Senku, who was on the other side of the world from Brazil.
Underground.
Yeah, it would have come up through the ground, but they know that it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's whenever they start trying to figure out. Is this? Yeah.
What's up?
I'm just trying to get this back. They start talking about like if it could travel slower through the Earth and stuff, and that's where they get into like why science has to be replicable. And then he's like, Chrome, do you know why why most people don't scientists don't believe in ghosts? And he's like, okay, for argument's sake, let's say the one phenomenon always attributed on is that they make a room colder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if that could be reliably replicated, ghosts would be used to make free energy. Like Senku starts talking about how he would make a temperature. He would take the temperature differential to make a Stirling engine and make it generate electricity. So it's literally a spirit dynamo. It's literally endless energy based off of using the spirits of the dead, which is kind of like it's practical, but isn't that also desecration?
You would think so, but they might just not care at that point.
But yeah, they start figuring out like, okay, so it's had to be moving at speed around the bubble on the Earth, and they start using the exact times.
Oh yeah, because where'd it go? Zeno says he was hit at 8:25 p.m. and then Senku was hit at 12:40 p.m. meaning the beam
20 seconds past 12:40 actually, because he was counting exactly.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it says the beam took 15 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Senku.
Yeah, and also is somehow during that it also missed the revolution of the space station.
Yeah, because they would have been right in the way of it, so they would have gotten petrified.
Does a revolution, I think, is like in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they say it on here, but yeah, it's like 35 minutes, if I remember right. Based off of actually how fast the space station goes. It's 25 times faster than a bullet.
Yeah, it didn't say. It just says they would have gotten a revolution easily.
Yeah. But just to kind of give context to it, it is literally going 25 times faster than a bullet. It's 25 times faster than the speed of sound.
Wow. Oof.
Yeah, it is. The space station's technically falling at all times, which is what makes the zero-G happen, because it's not actually outside the Earth's gravity. It's just falling in an orbit. So it's just constantly falling at 25 times the speed of sound.
How does it stay up if it's falling? Is it just rotating so fast it doesn't fall? Technically? Like when it hit the ground?
No, it is falling. It's just not falling towards the Earth. It's falling along the rotation.
Huh. Interesting.
It's weird. It's just a weird, cool fact.
I didn't know much about the space station. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really fun to look at it. So they're like, based off of that, they can just use the space station and where it is in space to figure out basically how the thing would travel. Because it's like the wave would have had to travel close. It would have so it would be. It's not traveling. It's not a light. They know that. Like it looks like a light. It's definitely not a light because it's not going light speed.
Which means it's some kind of like substance.
Yeah, which lends credit to everybody's nanobot theory.
Dun 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 dun.
But it's like the luminous substance dragged down by the Earth's gravity, washed all across the surface, and they basically keep working on the little models, and he just starts doing like this little like Senku saying something, then it's Zeno, and then it's Chrome, and it's all just these art panels until it gets like this really happy Senku, and then what is it? Kohaku comes in with more snacks, and she's like, "Oh, he's probably spying. Chrome's probably spying on them. I'll just see what he was doing in there." She's got like dinner, and she pops up. Again. They're blowing even more bubbles, and they're also playing with little like model figurines. Like Chrome's like holding a little space station, blowing a bubble, and then Senku is literally like he's holding up a picture against the freaking Tokyo Tower. Meanwhile, Zeno is like rolling the earth over a cabin. It's weird. And she kind of like the whole time she's got her little cat face on, and then she's just shocked, and then she just crawls back in the hole, confused.
I love that. They made the joke even better. It was awesome.
It was an even funnier joke, to be honest. But this is how Senku and him both, because they weren't looking dead at the time, but they both end up to, it had to be 56 seconds from when they first saw the light to when it hit them. And they both used different things to measure it. So Senku was literally using like the London Eye because he can see it. And he knows that people in airplanes were petrified too, so they know how tall it is. They also know that to be going that fast, it had to be traveling at 32,000 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
Which, not exactly right, but that's basically 20,000 miles an hour.
So it was fast?
Yeah, that... I don't know exactly off the top of my head how fast like the speed of sound is, but based off of that,
let me see if I can.
It says there's 15 minutes, 20-second gap between this bridge ride. Oh, they're looking for a point that's exactly 8,181 kilometers further from I believe it's from Zeno to Senku.
It says the speed of sound at sea level is 1,225 kilometers an hour, or 761.2 miles.
Yeah, so it's going slightly slower than the space station, but it's also going faster than the speed of sound. So it's going 20 times the speed of sound.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's outrageous.
And some dude in like, or whoever the guy is that made this thing, like, I gotta wonder, what was he working with down there? Was it one of those like evil, like scientist labs? I gotta wonder.
I don't know.
Hidden in like
the it's floor? Amazing just because they don't need these numbers to be exactly accurate. They just need it to be close. So like they're just eyeballing it. That had to be about, the wave had to be like 20,000 meters tall. And it's like, you're not gonna know that. But even if that's not right, it's as long as they're getting within proximity of it, these numbers will give them a general area to look in.
Yeah.
And so just by doing some math, which I'm not going over all the math right here.
So much math.
There's not a lot of math. It's just like, it's basically word problem math. To explain it, I'd have to literally sit here and read out everything they say. So it's like the 20,000 miles plus a refractive index of 6%, plus the light was 500 kilometers away when spotted on the horizon. It's literally a word problem. And so that's how they come across the 8,181.
Yeah. And then they plot all their routes. I never know routes. And end up at 3 degrees. What is the one with the quotation marks again? When you're looking at a number? Is it like, I don't do latitude.
They give us an exact one somewhere.
Yeah, they do. I don't know what the symbol means to say it. I know it's like 3 degrees. 7.
Yeah, 3 degrees.
7 feet? Inches?
No, I think that's Actually, I don't actually remember what that line means. But it's basically it's 3 degrees south and 60 degrees west.
Yeah, which is
I can't even remember the name of the town. I know the town.
Yeah, we actually looked it up and we got a name for the place it's supposed to be. I don't think they say it in the
Yeah, but
chapter, though.
it is a city in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Like closer towards the Amazon than anything. So they're literally going to hike through the Amazon because of the way that they're planning to go. But that's where it ends. It's like literally they did the math on where it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's over. They high five. It's over.
We got him, boys. Go home. I love it.
Yeah, because basically it just took the 2 of them. It took 2 people because there's no way Senku could figure this out, and he needed somebody who was roughly around his area.
Level.
So they needed to also know and they needed to know like rough degrees anyway. So he knows like where the Tower of London is. Not Tower of London, Tower Tokyo is. And then Zeno knew exactly where he was because he flew there in a military plane.
Mm-hmm.
So using that, they're like, it didn't need to be exact. It's just got to be a rough area, just like the rest of this math. It just has to be rough.
Mm-hmm.
So they come across that number. And it's dead in the middle of Brazil. It's like the heart of Brazil.
It would be cool seeing that. I'm excited.
Yeah, and then we get color pages for this next thing.
172 is where we're at now.
Yeah, and then it just starts off with like we're heading into the they figure out where the X is, which is in the middle of the Amazon. They're like, oh, what's waiting for us is the source of humanity's destruction. You're like, Ryusuke's like, oh, I desire that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course he is.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're talking about like they're mostly heading to Senku brings up like we're going to check out Ground Zero just because it's going to be useful to go by it anyways, but we're just heading here to make Super Alloy City. Like if we don't find anything, I don't care.
Yeah. Which
like
I
it would
hope
be
they
useful,
find
but if
something.
we don't, they're going to find something. It's like all the answers aren't going to be there because that would be boring.
We're going to get a plot dump when they finally get to the moon. I can guarantee you. We're going to get a plot dump. And it's going to be awesome.
What is his name? Taiju starts freaking out about adventuring the Amazon, and then Chrome gets to hear about an expedition, basically. And so he's like, oh, what could be more exciting than an expedition?
Oh, yeah, dude, like treasure hunting through the jungle?
Yeah, Begin starts like nearly crying because he's like, the Amazon's extremely expansive, and our destination's in the dead center.
And like,
so are we supposed to hike all the way there?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, are we supposed to hike all the way there? And then the rest of them are like, oh, wait. It's specifically the sonar guy. So Yuki, I think is his name.
Yeah, I think
something
so.
like that. Yeah. He's like, conquering the Amazon can't be done even explorers from the 21st century.
Explorers die doing it.
Yeah, they die.
Just
and then Senku's like, and we're talking about mosquitoes that can pierce any kind of clothing.
And he looked way too happy saying that too.
Yeah, and creepy crawlers that'll lay something under your skin.
And everybody's just freaking out.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Let me see.
And he's like, no, we're going to have to travel upriver from the ocean, which means taking the long way around.
Yeah, they have to go around the edge of the island, or the edge of the continent, and they have to stop for trees. They have to stop and cut down trees to get their fuel and then move on.
Yeah, because it runs on charcoal. So they had to chop down trees, turn it into charcoal, and then go continue on, all while trying to run away from Stanley. But first of all, tangent.
Okay.
They're like, oh man, we'd have to go all the way around Brazil. What happened to the Panama Canal? It's right there. You can even see it on this fake map. Like,
can you seriously?
Why are we not going through that little like super tiny part right above South America? That's Panama, and that's the Panama Canal right there. Like we dug it in the thinnest part right there.
Oh
Sure,
my
there's
gosh.
nobody like manning it, but like at this point, it would need to be manned. All the water walls would be crushed, so you could just sail through.
Maybe he just wanted more adventure.
Yeah, he definitely just wanted to make them go through the freaking woods.
Also, I'm looking at the cover page. I forgot about it. That is a nice cover page.
Oh yeah, it's pretty.
Like I completely forgot, and I was looking at it to check that diagram. It's like that's a nice cover page.
But yeah, Zenos basically tells him all of my engines on this are powered from the gas from charcoal, so we're gonna have to go at like a snail's pace to get enough lumber.
Yeah, you had to. They had to stop. They had to get that. They had to make
Meanwhile,
the
the
field. Then they go.
Perseus runs on oil.
So they're just trucking.
Yeah, and they loaded hundreds of drums on there.
Oh man, good thing we got Muscle Lady, whose name I can't.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's like they're not gonna keep away from him for very long. So it just cuts to them like rapidly like cutting it at wood while Stanley's just sitting on the front of the freaking Perseus sailing dead at him, and it's like Suika is talking about we have to hurry or no time to lose or else Stanley's gonna catch up to us. And everybody's just kind of like falling over and dying. Meanwhile, Taiju's just going on throughout the entire freaking night because he has absolutely ungodly stamina. And he just tells everybody else to go to bed so that he can he'll keep cutting the wood.
I love
And
how
that's whenever
wholesome Taiju is. Seriously, he's such a good dude. Oh, I love
Speaking of
Taiju.
absolutely wholesome moments, he looks up at the sky and he's like, "What's up in the night sky?" That he's like glowing letters, and then it says hell.
And he starts
It's amazing.
freaking out. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Oh
And he's
man.
like, "Why, man? In the mood, he sent us a message." And they're all like, "Oh, scary." And then like Senku just like sleep deprived as he is, stares at it and then squints. And he's like, "Look around the glowing letters. There's some kind of canvas up there.
And they find out they're kites with I think
Phosphorus
it's
paint on
phosphorus paint. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they just follow the trail to this weird like treehouse thing.
Yeah, it's like a clustered ball that's tied up in the freaking trees. And then they get like this ball with crazy hair that jumps on him.
And then a
And then
head
it's
comes
just
out.
got like, yeah.
And it's
And
got
it's
the
literally a
Suika face.
pumpkin. Yeah, with pumpkin with Suika's freaking no glasses face with like little holes in it, holding like a hammer and stuff. Literally wearing nothing but a freaking pumpkin. This girl just shows up and terrifies everybody. And then Suika's like, that face means she has the fuzzy eyes disease. She takes off her helmet. She's cute for a second, and then she does the old hag face. And she's like, is someone there? Someone's definitely there. And then she's like, hooray, it's the best day ever. And then falls right on her face.
We found out her name is Dr. Chelsea.
Yeah.
She was
And they make her,
yeah.
her clothes and glasses like freaking, you can see, I think it's specifically Senku himself. It's literally like grinding out the lens for her. So they make her glasses, and she's still wearing a pumpkin on her head as a hat now. And she's got like pumpkin shoulder pads and a pumpkin backpack. So, Pumpkin Lady.
You know, I like that name. I have nothing against the name Chelsea, but I like Pumpkin Lady as a nickname for Dr. Chelsea.
Yeah, she's kind of adorable. She's like constantly blushing and excited about everything. She's like, my whacked out eyes, thanks for fixing it. And they're like, whacked out? And then she's like, oh, Zeno, it's you.
And then we find out she was a young geographer who was at the meeting.
She's a genius teen geographer. She's like literally barely a teenager, though.
Yeah,
or
they
was
make a
barely
thing.
a
It's like
teenager.
she was, I think she was like not even 14. They point out.
Yeah, and they brought she says she's barely a teen.
Yeah.
They say she's a teen. She's like barely a teen. So she's like was 13, 14. But apparently she the only reason she's anywhere around there is because of Senku, because he talked about the swallows,
Mm.
and they're like, okay, so we had to get her involved in the summit because she's an expert about geography and especially where like things live,
Mm-hmm.
and like, well, not just where things live, but where things would grow. And they're like, oh, specifically, she's the living map because they're like, oh, she's got the entire world in her head.
Mm. Which comes in handy in a second.
Then there's a flashback of like her waking up inside of it in the cave, and she kind of pops up and she's like, I
I'm
kept
naked
awake
for
by
some reason.
repeating stuff, and yeah, she kept awake by repeating the thing in her head, like the soldier said, which was Stanley. And last year she got out of the stone, and she's like, I'm totally naked. That's wild.
I love her so much.
And he's like, then your revival took place 3 years later than mine, which Zeno's also took place at the same time as Senku, which is kind of crazy.
So Senku's 21. He's not
Yeah,
even...
that's what I just realized too.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's not 21. He'd
He
be
was
19 actually.
Yeah, he's 17 in the beginning.
Yeah.
So he'd be 21 now.
God, because like Taiju didn't know how long it took.
Mm.
And then it took like a half year to revive the next 2 people that they revived. And then after that, Senku was in the village for a year, and then it was 2 years. So yeah.
Wow. Oh jeez.
Man, Senku's getting freaking old.
No. Man.
Especially comparatively, like him and Taiju are so much older than everybody else amongst their age group now.
Mm. It's like that's... Oh. It's like they're just the old fuds.
Yeah, so he's
it's like
gotta
everybody
be,
else is like 15 and they're like, oh, we're the college boys.
but then yeah, he's like, did you not see the sign that said for you to head north? Why were you the only one who failed to find us? And they're like, her eyes are so bad she couldn't see what the sign was or the arrow. That she's like, oh, I bet the guys stuck close to the water. I'll just follow the coast. So should I go north or south? And the sign says north. So she runs south.
I can't remember her reasoning.
She literally like smashes a pumpkin that's like next to her and onto her body too.
I can't remember what
They're
she
like,
said.
there was a 50-50 shot and you blew it.
There's like up north was like some kind of like, I think an animal trap or something.
No. Up north is where like it's where they ended up finding like the yellow dent corn. But she's like, why wouldn't you head south? That's where the California orange groves are. And they're like, nobody knows. Okay. Nobody knows that well. Who would think that anyone would remember that's where things are?
But yeah, she couldn't read the sign.
And Sector's like, you remind me of Chrome. Hey, Chelsea, do you happen to remember where different plants tend to grow? And she's like, for the most part.
Mm. So then, he asks her, like, oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, she ends up telling him that she found some ferret pebbles, which I don't even know how she would have figured that out unless she like stuck one in her eye or something. And then she's like, I boiled them and made phosphorus paint, and then the kites.
Oh yeah, but I ran out. So yeah,
she didn't realize she ran out of paint. And then she's just like, I didn't realize because I couldn't see. So she was just floating a sign that said hell for no reason.
It'd be terrifying. You're just going through the creepy like stone forest at night and you just see glowing letters in the sky.
Yeah. And then he's basically like, okay, if we take the long way around by sea, we're gonna get caught. But if you happen to know a land-based shortcut, that'll give we can give Stanley the slip. It's like, can you give us his secret route? And then she's just got like this cool scene where she's thinking. And she just points directly into It's literally I don't even remember. I should know this country.
Ecuador.
Is it Ecuador?
They mentioned, yeah, you have to. She says they have to do some climbing.
Oh yeah,
to
it does say right here. Okay, yeah,
and,
make and fall in northern Ecuador.
Mhm.
Then do mountain climbing and then ride the Amazon River like a water slide.
Which that'd be cool if they did that.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, we're gonna need a lightweight off-road vehicle, probably a motorcycle.
Mhm.
And then she's like, you got one of those? And then Seku's like, we sure don't. But when that's the case, and they're like, oh, let me guess. Yeah, Gein's just like, oh, let me guess. So literally, I think the only things they need is rubber.
Yeah.
Because they have charcoal. They have everything to make a battery.
Mhm.
Yeah, they have everything else. They literally just need rubber.
So they're going on the hunt for the rubber now.
Yeah, because they have on the ship, they have iron and brass. They'll use the iron to make a spring. They'll use the brass and iron to make a chassis. They'll use the spring to help give it suspension. They're going to use the charcoal and gas to make a gas cylinder, which they'll use to make the engine and power the engine.
Mhm.
They already have batteries on the ship. Then they have... Wait, this is on the Perseus, though.
Oh.
Unless it's also on the... Unless they also have some of this on the off-road lab, but they probably do. But, like, they need... they have sulfur.
Mhm.
But I don't know how they're planning on making rubber unless they're going to use rubber trees, which are in all over in South America.
Mhm.
So in like Zeno's like, rubber, is that a resource we possess? And
Yeah,
it's
because
like,
they were
okay.
never able to get rubber.
Yeah, but it's like, this is exactly what I was expecting, except for the whole motorcycle thing. That's dumb. And I was really expecting them to give like, okay, we're just going to find a way. We're going to find the Panama Canal and hope that Stanley forgot about it or something. Or like, we're going to power it because it's like, oh man, we're going to get there and like the gates aren't working. And it's like, oh man, we're just going to have to do this thing.
Mhm.
Just for basically, they're going to have to retrofit the pumps to force the pumps to move the ship. I thought something like that was going to happen because I thought that would be cool. But it looks like they're trying to force them out of the lab and not to have stuff.
Yeah, to make it a bit more survival.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
once
you
they
got
get on these
scrounged.
motorcycles, like they said, the mobile lab's not getting around on there. They need the lightweight off-road vehicles.
Mhm.
So they're it's very clear the author is trying to force them away from all their stuff because it's just so convenient. They always have everything they need.
Which is one of those things. It's like it's nice that they have the stuff, but at the same time, it's like you have to force it away or it's too easy. So it's like something you got to juggle a lot. And I like the idea of them riding motorcycles, but also I would think doom buggies.
I don't like that all the one thing I really don't like is like, okay, every modern man who's woken up so far is either woken up by being a scientist or being helped by a scientist. I really hope this is the arc where it's not.
Like some just random
like
guy.
They go into like kind of like a warlord kind of area.
Oh, that'd be sick.
It's because people with strong wills, we already see that you can just wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I want to see warlord.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be freaking sweet, especially around here.
Be a good change up.
Yeah, because they'd have to avoid like the subterfuge happening behind them with Stanley, but they also have to avoid the warlord.
It's like, we got the guy who is like itching to mess us up on one end, and the guy who is most likely terrifyingly strong on the other end.
Oh yeah, it's like, okay.
I hope something like that happens.
I'm hoping this arc gets really exciting because like all the arcs in everything we review right at the moment pretty much are exciting. It's just this one is at the moment because it's like, okay, I really love Dr. Stone, but I
Mhm.
wanted to do something more exciting again. Like, it's been a while since something big and exciting happened.
I like the whole stuff when they found the Medusa, but like,
Yeah, I even like the beginning of the American arc, but it's just eh.
Mhm. That's interesting. And it's hard to stack up too because it's like you got the One Piece greatness, you got Black Clover doing all kinds of crazy stuff, you got Hero Academy, one of its biggest arcs it's ever had, and you have Chainsaw Man being Chainsaw Man. So it's like
Yeah,
it's hard to
it's just
stack up
yeah.
with all this.
It's once again, I'm not trying to start hate, but Jujutsu Kaisen's kind of in the same boat. I'll say even I'm not caught up on the current arc, but based off of the little bit I've heard of the current arc,
Mm.
it's good. It's just, does it compare?
From what I understand, from like looking at it and like kind of skimming it, like looking it over, it seems like one of the arcs. I feel bad that I just said skimming it, which kind of takes away from what I'm saying. But it's like it feels like a Marine Ford situation where it's like a giant arc that leads into a change for the series.
That's what I keep hearing. It's like either like fake Katakura Town, specifically like people keep relating it to like the Iran car arc.
Mm.
Are they related to like a Marine Ford or something? And it's like, okay, I want a big world changing thing, but it's like Jujutsu Kaisen takes a while to do any idea, which is why the anime's just been doing so well for it.
Mm. Because it speeds up the stuff while also being great.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you can take the extra time to explain it and then also just give me a cool fight scene to make me entertained in between it.
Mm.
Because that's how Bleach did its whole philosophy stuff.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, do I love the Iran car arc? Yes. Dude, I love reading it. I didn't finish reading.
Really?
That's the dumb part. Okay. I read Ukiura's fight. I read Grimjaw's fight. I skipped every other fight.
Really?
Like, I read the beginning of it. I just wasn't invested into it. I skipped forward to the Grimjaw fights.
Mm.
I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I skipped forward to Ukiura's fight. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I skipped directly into, oh God, what year is this? I'm trying to remember what year I got current. Okay, I got current with it in Fake Katakura Town arc, I believe.
So,
But I believe
how long has it been since Bleach ended? Like 3
that's
years?
what I'm trying to do. Like, how do math?
Well,
Okay, but specifically, when I got caught up is whenever freaking Dangai Ichigo came out.
really?
Yeah, I was on the tail end of that shit. Like, I had barely made it in. That's why I really count like the Fullbring arc as the one I got caught up in and started reading weekly. And
What
that's
a
why
one.
like
What a one.
I actually like it.
I've lightened on it over the years.
It has the coolest substitute Soul Reaper, not Ichigo.
Man. Oh, poor Ichigo. Never gets any.
But it's true too. It's like, okay, if you had to pick, who you picking?
Not Ichigo.
Exactly.
Not Ichigo.
Even though he straight up murdered him.
Man, no. But it has grown on me. It's one of those ones where it's like I read it at first, I'm like, yeah, and it still kind of sours it
I
for
really
me.
do like the Fullbring arc. I honestly do. I
It
think
is
the powers are interesting.
Mm.
And it's so nice that they finally touched back on like Chad's weird ability.
They gave it
Like-
some like world context.
Yeah, it's like,
instead-
Chad, why the hell do you even have an ability? Like, we already kind of talked about like weird fairy gremlins ended up liking freaking Orihime, and that's why she has powers.
Mhm.
Chad, why do you have powers?
Oh, man. And then I like Kubo's style too. You know, he has that. I can't remember the kid's name, but he's the one playing the PSP,
Yeah.
and it's like only Kubo could do that and make me not hate it. And it's like that's neat.
It's that's why I say all around I do like Bleach.
Mhm.
But whenever it like starts going into the trenches of like, okay, you're about to sit here through everything you don't care about, like mid freaking Fate Katakura town. It's like, oh man, do I really need to see the entire trek across Hueco Mundo?
You know what's really funny? I saw a post on Reddit. This guy was talking about, I don't see why people hate the ending of Bleach so much. And then he was an anime only who didn't know the 1,000-year Blood War arc happened. And everyone in the comments was like, "Oh, you poor summer child." I'm sorry.
Honestly, if the series ended with him killing Jean, that would have been awesome.
That's not what we. And I hate it because
chance too, though. We get the second chance because he's like, okay, he's involved with the project. We can get cool stuff.
I'm hoping because like we talk about this a lot, but it's like his ideas are so neat. It's like I like the Quincy Army with the letters with their abilities. Like that's really
even
cool.
Though we didn't figure out what all of them were.
No, we did not.
We're not even positive B is the balance.
I thought they outright said that.
No.
Huh.
They never once say what it is. It's just we all assume it's the balance because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, that's kind of embarrassing.
It's kind of amazing how little we actually know about. And then everybody loves D, the death dealing. And
you know, honestly, he just needs like some books, like some info books. They're just like, here's what this is, here's what this is. Like maybe he's saving it for the anime, like we're hoping.
I think he is that, or I don't know. He might do it now that Can't Fear Your Own World's over.
Is it over?
Yeah, I believe it's over.
Oh, neat. I mean, I wasn't aching for it to be done. It's like, oh, I've heard it's pretty cool. So it's like, as long as he wants to do it.
Now we're getting it in English. So yay, I can read it. But I feel like we somehow managed to fit Bleach hatred and love into this. I feel like this is the spot to end.
You know,
everybody keeping up with the drinking game, you are now like, I don't know, dead.
You know, I do feel nice that we've like kind of tossed it into like, we started on the Bleach hate train and we've talked about it so much that's like, oh man,
we started on the Bleach hype train, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like oh man, we loved Bleach.
Bleach was so cool, man.
And then that final arc, it's kind of like, oh man, am I gonna piss off every fandom?
What are you gonna say here?
I was gonna say it's like the Great Shinobi War.
Oh my god. Well, I don't think that'd be a sour point. Almost no one I know likes that arc.
It's like, okay, this series is great if you ignore this happened.
And
not like, completely. Like, there's cool moments in both the ending of Bleach and in the Great Shinobi War.
Mm.
But in general, large swaths need to be forgotten.
Yeah. It's like, I like some of the stuff, and then we get aliens, and you're like, oh, crap. Oh, crap.
And then the Great Shinobi War, you get I love you, Naruto, and Naruto's like, I love Sasuke.
It's funny because like Naruto is my favorite of the big three, and it's like I don't even like that last arc. It's like, well, I like it more than Boruto.
Honestly, I don't know if Naruto's my favorite. It's either Naruto or One Piece. It was never Bleach.
It was.
I liked Bleach, but it's like I liked two characters. To be honest, I read for Shunsui and Kenpachi.
It's like saying you like Seven Deadly Sins, and then you're like, "Who's your favorite character?" Gyalther. Like,
Gyalther.
We all know it's Escanor. I mean, if you like
Escanor and Bon are the only acceptable answers, but it's like Meliodas is cool, but not as cool as Bon, and not as cool as Escanor.
Oh, I know we just said we were going to end this, but I did want to tell you while we're here. They announced the 4th season of the anime for the Seven Deadly Sins.
I'm not watching that.
I haven't watched it since the first season when we watched it together. I have not seen it.
I watched that fight. The
Oh
fight,
yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
best fight in the series, and they ruined it.
I heard that the reason that happened was because they like outsourced the studio in the middle of like the production for some
Hmm.
reason. So like
It's
it's extra awful.
it's terrible.
It's so
It's
bad.
honestly, you want to melt your eyes, and then you see like the fan animations of it, and you're like, "Oh, this is so cool. Why didn't they just do that?"
Hmm. Instead, we get what we got, which was almost worse than nothing. Honestly,
Anyways, I would have preferred nothing.
I was, I was gonna say it's like if it was gonna be that bad, would I have just preferred to never see it animated? Possibly.
It's the same way I feel like Berserk. It's like I'm never gonna see like a good versus freaking Guts versus Morgs fight. I know
Mm.
that's never happening. I accept it.
Still makes me sad. It's like, oh man, and
That
even
or
like
he's
good
never gonna fight
3D.
Serpico. He's never gonna fight Serpico in cool 3D fights or even cool any fights. It's just always gonna look like garbage.
It makes me so sad too because they use 2D animation in the openings and it looks incredible. And then like you go to the actual
They
show
should
and
have
it's like,
gotten freaking David Productions or whoever has David Production gets to do the freaking openings for
oh, that would have
JoJo
been sweet. I can't
because they're
remember.
3D, but they look sweet.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the studio. They always put in the credits, and it's been so long. I gotta say, I miss the 3D openings. I like our anime openings we've
Are
gotten
they
with
not
the other
3D
part.
anymore?
No, they stopped after part 3. Now they're stylized 2D.
Man, it took me literally years to get through part 3 because I just could not get into it for forever. Part
Oh,
2, I was in immediately. I'm like, yes, 100% Joseph Joestar.
I think it helps that it's like relatively short too. It's like the first 2 parts are like a third of singing part 3 put together.
Yeah,
And it's like part 3 is so long.
but before we go on the JoJo tangent, we should probably end this.
Okay, yeah. So that'll conclude Dr. Stone 171 and 172.
All right, next we'll be talking about, I guess, One Piece, or is it My Hero?
My Hero.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah. We'll get them
Alright.
both eventually.
Yeah.
All right, so bye.
Bye.
Mm.